Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. We have got a lot to talk about today. We are praying for the people of Florida and though everyone, the 5 or 6 states that have been impacted by Hurricane Helene, we're praying for them. We're praying for the people of Florida now. They are about to, it is projected that Hurricane Milton will hit them. This is an historic hurricane, even more historic than it's not Queen, than Hurricane Helene. It will be so powerful it can't be measured. Category 6, we've not done that before. And parts of the state, they say, will just be swept away. Need to think about that. And we're weeks away from the election. How will people vote? And of course, we're talking about the polls and the polling data. We're going to be talking about that today and tomorrow. We're going to have Dr. Jim Zogby on as well. And I think that's important because the polls are showing that there are some trouble spots for Vice President Kamala Harris. In the meantime, while we've got this disaster that we're dealing with, Governor DeSantis of Florida is refusing to take the Vice President of the United States calls, plural. He's refusing to do that. Is he serious? Just for a moment, everybody, that is so disrespectful. And I'm going to keep it 100 with you right now. Men listen to men. Ronnie Patrice, my sister, Ariel Gold, and Dr. LaShawn, you know that's true. Men respond to men very differently, do they not? Can I get an amen, my sisters? Men, be quiet. You know it's true. You know it's true. Some men, Republican, Democrat, those outside and in between need to confront him. He is disrespectful. He is absolutely disrespectful, and you all need to call him out. That is rooted in sexism. It is rooted in racism. Everything about it is wrong. Everything about it is wrong. Even if it were a Democrat with whom he disagreed, if it were a man, and I know if it were a white man, he'd return the call. But he's refusing to do that. You all need to call him out on this foolishness. People will die because he is playing a game. He's playing with people's lives. And you all need to call him out as men. And I mean it. And that's that. And women need to come together and call him out too. But I'm going to tell you, men respond to men a little bit differently. You can say what you will, but it is the truth. And you know it's true. So everybody like and share the show. Like and share the show. Let's get right to it because we got a lot to talk about. First thing I want to do is really talk to you all. Just I want to ask you a question before we talk about the polling and the troubling polling data, which no one wants to really want to talk about. I mean, you have, and we've just come off the October 7th commemorations. I was with If Not Now and some Palestinian American activists last night. It was beautiful because they were talking about October 7th, but they gave it context, and I appreciated that. Loved it. They were talking about the fact that October 7th is not when this began. No, this started a long time ago with the Nakba that has been going on for almost 8 decades. And they were also honoring the Palestinians who have been murdered. Mm-hmm. There's no other way to put it. They've been murdered. And the sooner we just own up to the things that we do that are wrong, we can get out of it. But you can't do it when you're not telling the truth. You got to tell the truth, everybody. And it's truth telling time. Look at all the things that are coming out that you never would have thought would come out. Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds. This is a time of revelation. I thought Pat Williams was a little bit different, but boy, oh boy, he said it. He said 2024 would be a year of revelation. I don't know what he was on, but he sure did tell the truth. Transformative Justice Coalition Chair Daryl Jones, of course, community psychologist. Everybody watch it. Dr. LaShawn Latrice. Everything she said, you're saying she's going to measure. Watch it. Ronnie Patrice met you during our summit. Brilliant Palestinian American activist, of course, Democratic activist, and we're so excited to have you here with us today. And Ariel Gold, Fellowship of Reconciliation. All of you, my sisters and my brothers, I love you, but I had to have that rant at the top because it really is see that the governor Florida would refuse to take the vice president of the United States call. She outranks you, my friend. She's a VP. How dare you? Yeah. How dare you? And y'all need to call him out. I didn't say you. I know proper English. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to call him out. You need to come up with a resolution in Texas. And y'all need to call him out. That needs to happen. It needs to spread like a virus. Because no sitting governor should be this irresponsible. And he needs to be impeached. You know, and stop playing with these people. You play with a puppy, they will lick you in your mouth. They are playing with us, with our resources, with our money, and people are dying. They're dying in the several states, in the 5 or 6 states that Queen Helena, there's a hair care products on the black side, y'all. That they are the Hurricane Helene. There are 1,000+ people missing right now. Right now. And how are they going to vote? I want to know about that. And what about, oh, please, you know, I mean, and you got the Democrats and the Republicans fighting to see who's going to be more loyal to people who are committed to a government that's committing a genocide. Are you serious right now? See, okay, so I don't even know where to begin. Well, let's start with Daryl Jones. I want you just to very quickly give us an update on what you think can happen with this vote, because if people want to vote in Western Florida and every place that Hurricane Milton might hit, the mayor of Tampa told them to get out. If they stay, they will die. What's supposed to happen here? What's supposed to happen to people? We got more than 1,000 people are unaccounted for, Rania, in North Carolina alone. Daryl, what should we do? What's going on here?
So thank you, Santita, and you're absolutely right. Let me just start right off the top by saying, you know, what Governor DeSantis has done in disrespecting the Vice President of the United States and the African American woman is unacceptable and must be called out. And you know, we certainly will be taking steps to be certain that that we do that directly to the governor of Florida. With the folks that are in the path and in the remains of you know, Hurricane Helene as well as Milton, what we know is that there are now there are 100 counties that are in North Carolina. 13 have been indicated as impacted by the storm, that and including, you know, the county that contains Asheville, which is like the 7th largest county in North Carolina. But what happens from all of that is that, you know, people are fearing for their lives and leaving their homes. So, you know, North Carolina right now is going through its first major election where it requires 2 witness signatures on an absentee ballot, as well as a copy of your driver's license or identification to be able to count your absentee ballot. Folks that are, you know, that woke up and their homes are underwater, or they're waking up and their stuff is gone and they've had to vacate, they don't have any of that stuff. And so what needs to happen, and in some degree what is happening in North Carolina, is that the North Carolina State Board of Elections has loosened some of those rules, all right? So they're no longer requiring 2 witnesses, they're only requiring 1 witness, when I think the answer should be there shouldn't be a witness requirement whatsoever. But there are some steps that the North Carolina State Board of Elections has taken to try to address that. The state legislature, and certainly Representative Reynolds can speak much better to this than I, the state legislature, however, has the ability to have an emergency legislation pulled in place so that they can alter the requirements of what's needed for people to be able to effectuate their vote and get their vote on. Because if the roads are blocked, the mail people can't get to the absentee ballots. You can't get to a ballot. Yeah, none of that is there. The election workers themselves can't be put in place. So these are all the things that are happening in North Carolina and all the things that will potentially happen in Florida based on what's happening there with Hurricane Milton that's headed there. You can't tell people to leave and then not have in place a policy, a practice for them to be able to use their voting. Whether you're extending deadlines or you're making other modifications, things have got to be put in place for the voters to be able to access their rights to vote. This isn't the first time we've been put in this situation. This isn't the first time we've had tropical storms or hurricanes come and impact people's ability to vote. So there are things that they can do that they can put in place. The extension of those deadlines, the extension of mail, the extension of all of this can be put in place. Some of it may require the state legislature to act, but now is the time for the state legislatures to start acting, because you got to remember, they're on the same evacuation order. They can't get together. So I assume they're going to be doing things remotely at best. I don't know how they'll do it. But what I do know is that there are going to be many voters that are going to be impacted in Florida potentially, and a lot of voters that are impacted in North Carolina, Georgia, and some of the other areas. They estimated that there are 2,400 polling places in the state of Georgia that are already impacted by the storm that has hit. So this is a major issue, Santita, and they've got to get word out to the voters as best they can with regards to the options that they now have. And that's going to be a challenge, particularly if your electricity is out. How do you get the word to them? How do you spread to let them know they have the ability? All of that right now is at play, Santita, and at such a crucial time and such an important election in our country's history.
Absolutely. I mean, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, what can be done? I mean, in your estimation, of course, I know laws vary from state to state, but we know that all of this, all the elections, the presidential election, it turns on what the state determines will happen. But you write the rules.
Well, first of all, I want to say happy 83rd birthday to Reverend Jesse Jackson. What a
Yeah.
remarkable hero, and hope he's in good health and celebrating. And I agree with everything that Daryl stated. It is, first of all, derelict in the governor's duties. That is the absolute example of the opposite of a statesman. That is certainly a piece of trash that isn't dignified of being a governor, because a governor is the governor of all people, not just MAGA extremists, but everyone. But particularly, you would think that he would rise above in a time of emergency when people's lives and liberty are at stake with this massive, uh, hurricane. And it is certainly irresponsible of him to put this kind of partisan politics, um, by not answering the vice president's call. That is so. I can't even think of something that's so low for someone who is literally the governor for everyone. And so this is certainly one of the worst pieces of leadership that I've seen in a long time. But the state legislature, unfortunately, when you're not in session, the governor is in any emergency. The governor is the head of emergency operations, just like at the county level, it's the county judge. At the state level, it's the governor, right? And so, it's going to be hard for the state legislature to usurp uh, around the governor because he's the point person. And so, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to likely do it without Governor DeSantis, because he's over emergency operations. And so the people are going to have to demand that the governor respond. And, there's nothing greater for states than to have the operation and aid of the federal government when it comes to FEMA, when it comes to emergency management, when it comes to the National Guard, all kind of federal resources. Even though Republicans often vote against it, which many of the Floridian congressmen voted against the disaster aid, they desperately need that. And so when it comes to rescue operations, when it comes to humanitarian aid, when it comes to resources for people that have been displaced, people that need shelter, people that need food. That is where the federal government comes in and operates at its best. And this is the nonpartisan stuff that we all need, regardless of who is in the Oval Office. So shame on Governor DeSantis. Uh, and I hope that the people of Florida will demand accountability, and they will, this is the kind of stuff, Santita, that I think people demand a resignation from. That's how serious this is, because this is a
Mhm.
matter of life and death. People are literally dying, and this kind of catastrophic category 6 like you said, is unprecedented. And I saw the mayor of Tampa basically saying that if people didn't um, get out while they could, there was certain death that would occur. That's how serious it is. So this is not a time to be playing games where you're not answering the call of the vice president, who's not calling you to chat, who's calling you about this very disaster. So I'm going to be one of the men that the call to action that you
Yes.
made early on, calling him out and encourage other people to do the same. Finally, we did that. Our fraternity, Daryl, did that when Governor DeSantis implemented this nonsense of, anti-DEI and the, ending the African American Studies. Our fraternity pulled out of our convention in Florida because of Governor DeSantis, and we have a track record. And so I'm going to challenge my fraternity to again call out Governor DeSantis and challenge other people to do the same, because this is ridiculous. Enough is enough.
All of you should call the Omegas. You should call the Phi Beta Sigma. You should call Kappa Alpha Psi. You should call them all. And you should call the white fraternities, because since you got the white guys for Kamala Harris, all of you men need to come together, white, black, brown, yellow, and red, and call him out. And just say, as men, we don't appreciate it. Yeah. Because men respond to men differently. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't come together, Rania, and do this. I'm not saying that Ariel. I'm not saying that Dr. Latrice. But at some point, you all need to stand toe to toe with this man, because it's clear he's got a problem, and deal with him. It's insulting. I'm spitting angry about it. This is too much. People are dying here. People have died. We were missing more than 1,000 Americans, human beings. I don't care what their nationalities are, in our country already. Shame on him. And you need to call him out. People need to grow up. Rania. But now we've got another five alarm issue, because we're looking at Arab American support that is bleeding, that is being hemorrhaged. And we're watching polls where we're watching that, because I'm just shocked by it. Not shocked. I am just so tired of corporate media. They keep telling me how great Kamala's doing. It's 49-46. I'm like, she can't win without Michigan, y'all. She can't. And she is hemorrhaging Arab support. The greatest concentration of Palestinian Americans is in Chicago. She got a problem, y'all. So look, to act as if she does not have some points of challenge, I think, is a mistake.
Yeah.
And I say that, and because I support her, I'm saying it. It's like my mother will tell me, no, don't wear that. It's because I love you. I don't want you to take a picture where you look a hot mess, honey. You might not like me right now. I don't care. Because see, my mother's like that. She's like, I don't care if you don't like me. You look crazy right now. That hairstyle, Oh, you look a mess. I think you look awful. My mother is like that. So you all just pardon me. That's my background. I come like that. Rania, we're 4 weeks out, girl.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and exhale. What? Because you've got the Democrats and Republicans vying for, I'm best for Israel. I'm like, but Israel's not even best for itself right now. What are you talking about? They're hurting themselves. I mean, they have lost so much credibility internationally. And maybe because in the United States, they don't even report it this way. But you know this, Ariel Gold. They are becoming a pariah state like South Africa was 40, 50 years ago. If you care about Israel, and I do, stop it. I mean, there's got to be some daylight between Kamala Harris and Biden, because what she did, what the Biden administration has done, I can't sign on for that. And a lot of people feel that way. I saw Ta-Nehisi Coates on TV. He said, I'm a child of Jim Crow. I'm a child of Jim Crow. Everybody, I was born in a colored women's hospital. My parents couldn't use the library when I was born, in the public one in Greensboro. So you got to come with it. You got to do something different from me. Rania, help me. What can she do? What needs to happen here? Do
I
you
think
do you believe the polls, or do you think the polls are lying?
no, I absolutely believe the polls. And the reason is we have a year's worth of polling that showed this country consistently moving in this direction, and across party lines, frankly, which, I mean, can we ever get Democrats and Republicans and independents to agree on anything?
We don't
Rarely. Yeah. And so and I will tell you, I am I work in politics, but I'm one of those people who believes polling is a snapshot in time, but we've got a year's worth of snapshots in time. And I know, I mean, this is in large part, people might disagree or argue with me. Yes, President Biden had an atrocious debate, and the dominoes fell after that. But in part, he had to step aside because of how he's responded, because of a failure in leadership. And even if I just put my heritage and the fact that I'm Palestinian aside, just as a strategist, we look weak. We look ineffectual. And when the president of the United States and the vice president, who's echoing him, says things like, we're working tirelessly around the clock for a ceasefire, when we're the ones funding this thing, we look weak. We look like chumps. So again, even just
wait,
from a
Rania, the Prime Minister of Israel, who we're helping to fund, is telling us to go to the devil. I don't care what you say.
Exactly. And we're talking about, we're staring fascism in the face, and we're falling with this sinking ship that is Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I don't understand. Honestly, I don't understand. I think the vice president is brilliant. I think she's empathetic. We heard, some we started to hear some daylight between her and the president, and then it's just fallen off. And the thing I keep saying is, we've heard her say,
we know where that's coming from. We know she's being pressured. We understand that. But I'm saying we've got to apply pressure on the other side, right?
yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, the global community, not even just this country. This country has shifted, so has the rest of the world, because we're literally watching genocide unfold on our phones. And now we're watching ethnic cleansing and indiscriminate bombing, and hospitals being bombed in Lebanon too. And medical personnel and humanitarian workers and children being like murdered using our tax dollars and our weapons. And we want to hear in this country, I mean, I know you've heard me talk about this before. We are told we can't afford to address climate change. We can't afford for healthcare to be a human right. We can't afford reparations, but we can afford to keep feeding the military industrial complex and dropping bombs on children. We can afford that. So people are, this is not a situation where people don't know what's going on and you're going to convince them that what they're seeing isn't real. There's been a real effort for that with the media and otherwise, but we know what we're seeing, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying because, just like you said, that's the perfect word. She is hemorrhaging support, and it's not just among the Arab community and the Muslim community. It is young people. It is our allies too, who see this and go, no, I can't sign on to this. And meanwhile, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Please go on. And meanwhile.
And meanwhile, you see this, and I hear this a lot. There is this love affair happening with third party, which makes me crazy. I mean, we could have an entire conversation around that. And then I've heard this myself from so many people, that there's this idea that if Donald Trump were in office right now, or for the last year, that Democrats would rally against him. And I am constantly, as disappointed and upset and gutted as I am, I'm constantly having to remind people that that's true with just about everything in this country, except for when it comes to the Israeli government. So, we're in a really, really scary time. And I have to tell you, I was Bernie Sanders' deputy campaign manager in 2016. And I also traveled with Bernie on behalf of Hillary Clinton all during the general election. And everything you're saying, where we don't believe the polls, or it's better than this or that, it is giving me triggers of 2016.
Mm.
And if we don't get real about this, and it is not, I'm not, it doesn't need to be overly complicated. The vice president has said Israel has the right to defend themselves, and how they do it matters. Okay, say the next sentence. Say the next sentence. Help us, help you, you know? And again, it's not even just my community that's feeling this way.
No, it's our community. Okay? People don't like what they're seeing, Ariel. This is horrible. And this is unacceptable. Okay, I saw this young Israeli woman. She broke my heart last night because she was, you heard the mournful cry through her speech. She said, I knew this was going to happen because you can't occupy people and not expect something like this to happen. She said, but I'm still calling people trying to find out if they're alive. I'm loving them, but you can't do this in my name. This is not acceptable. There are so many people around the world who say this is unacceptable, and they're saying it for a whole lot of reasons. I mean, I told you I saw Ta-Nehisi Coates. He said, I'm a child of Jim Crow. Wait, I was there. Apartheid doesn't work for me. This is how my parents grew up. And you know, and I understand I've been in the room, everybody. The pressure, the difference between my father in 84 and 88 was a lot for us. And in 92, when he had to endorse Bill Clinton, people will tell you, we were behind stage at the Apollo and we were furious. So you got several people trying to grab my mother, my brothers, my sister, and I. My baby sister, of course, is rolling with me because she's my baby sister. We were furious. We were like, wait, no. Bill Clinton's been so disrespectful. And this is not going to work for us. We didn't sign up for this. I know the pressure that he was under to save the black folks he had just gotten into the party and the progressives he just gotten into the party was enormous. So we kind of had to roll with that. So I understand that. That having been said, this is not working. Because we're watching people, if you see some of these horrific images, Ariel, where they're picking up body parts. And you know, you picking up something that looks like plastic and you see a head in the face, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a human being. And that's all that's left. The skin of the torso and the face. What? I've never seen anything like that in my life. Yeah, Daryl, it looks that horrible. Those are the images that are being put out there that they're trying to censor. Well, you can't unsee that. Like I cannot unsee the children from the Sharpeville massacre in South Africa. I can't unsee that. And I'm tired of it because you see the kind of insensitivity, Ariel, and it's spilling over here. Because we've got 1,000+ people missing throughout the Appalachian region and nobody cares. Right now, in the United States. Come on.
So yesterday, on the anniversary of October 7th, there were gatherings across the country by If Not Now, Jews for Racial and Economic Justice, Nonviolence International, other groups. And the theme of that was every life, a universe. And, you know, what that gets at is the way that we do not value all lives equally in the same way, right? Mm-hmm. Lebanese lives and Palestinian lives are but numbers, but collateral damage. Whereas with Israeli lives, we very much rightly know the names of the hostages who were killed. We see the parents of the hostages on the stage of the Democratic Party at the DNC, as we should, right? Absolutely, as we should. But we need to value the lives in Appalachia. We need to value Black and Brown lives. We need to recognize that every life is in itself a universe. And that comes from the Jewish concept that to save a life is to save an entire world. And to lose a life is to lose an entire world. And we need to be able to put that front and center. You know, the candle lighting that Biden did yesterday and the tree planting by Harris, that absolutely should happen. But where is the mourning for the almost now 42,000 Palestinian lives that have been left in Gaza, and it's ungodly bombing taking place in Lebanon. If you've looked at some of those images, we're not getting the kind of on the ground images, but those explosions are, and as well, I heard as of today, there's a lot of asbestos in the air from that. Let's not forget.
And sulfur.
When
Is
the
the
US,
crowd.
as well as Israel, hits the oil fields in Yemen, let's not forget the CO2 impact on the environment, because we can talk about mitigating climate change and Biden can brag that he got back into the climate accords. But as long as we are blowing up oil fields in the Middle East, where does that fall? It came out yesterday, the amount of money that the US has given to Israel over the past year, and it is a whopping $17.9 billion. And we can't find money for hurricane relief. We cannot forget these things. And we know, at the same time, we know, and as you were saying, like, I love Kamala Harris, we know that we will be in a better position to deal with climate change, to change US policy towards Israel so that we have accountability, so that we abide by US laws with a Harris administration. And I want to name, I think I'm deeply concerned. I hear Dr. Zogby speak about this often, that there was a poll done by CARE, where they called it a poll. They actually polled their own folks, saying that there's a lot of support for Jill Stein, but that's actually not really a poll. You can't poll your own members. She actually doesn't have a real stake in this. There's not a concern there, but people are planning to stay home. And Arab American Institute's
104 million, according to the Arizona Christian University poll. They're saying 104 million people planning to stay home.
But I do just want to say one thing real quick on Jill Stein is we have to remember this election is going to be won on the margins, just like the last one was. And we can't doubt. No.
And I take issue with her. Like, she needs to jump out of this. Like, come on. We saw the 2000 election. We saw the Nader effect. Like, come on, Jill Stein. I have.
So it doesn't have to be a big number. For her.
Time to exit. Long
time.
But
to be honest with you, I don't know if I. You know what? I want people to vote as they feel they need to vote. I really do. That having been said, what I need for Kamala to do, she needs to exit the position she's got. Yeah. I don't need Jill to move. I need Kamala to move.
And she can do both, right? She can honor Israeli lives and the need for Israeli security and the need for Palestinian security. And if you want Israeli security, that is dependent on Palestinian security. The safety and the security and the future of Israelis, of Jews and Palestinians, cannot be separated.
And so what she needs to do,
futures are intertwined.
And Ariel, she needs to move, because when she moves, people will move with her. People are moving to Jill Stein for a whole lot of reasons, and Cornel West. And I support their right to Claudia de la Cruz, whoever it is, and the Libertarians. I think Americans need choice. If we believe in democracy, or certainly support the integrity of the republic, people need to be able to vote. That having been said, what I need of these so-called binary choices we have, they need to move. Because she and Donald Trump are in a race to figure out who could be most supportive of a country that is engaged in genocide. That's not working for me. I can't tell her that's okay. Just get into the office. I know it'll be all right. See, because that happened with Obama, and then I lost Gaddafi, the strongest Black leader in Africa. That does not work for me. I'm still hot about that. Black folks didn't get anything. I lost 40,000 HBCU students because I didn't want to ask questions. I just wanted to get you there. No, that does not work. It didn't work for me then. Before I get who I want, I got to get what I need. I know that's politics.
And let's not forget that Donald Trump is calling for Israel to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities.
Of course,
get the job done, as he says, and that
because it's
is,
bad PR.
Biden's letting him tank this election.
And I mean, and so what is the appreciable difference between the two? I mean, these folks are dying every single day, and they don't even report on them anymore. We know the Lancet study, Ariel and Rania and Representative Reynolds and Dr. LaShawn Latrice. There's more than 200,000 Palestinians that have been killed. We can't even count them either. I mean, this is unacceptable. And then what? Now they moved into Lebanon. Now they're talking about that we are being back. America is being backed into a corner to get into a fight with Iran, into a war. We're being backed in a corner. We can't. These people and Iran said, their leadership said, we're going to make you feel it at home, America. I didn't sign up for that, Ariel. I didn't sign up for that. And I can see conscriptions in our future. This is insane.
Did you hear yesterday that the Biden, or yesterday or the day before, the Biden administration offered a financial or weapons payoff to Israel if they'll go light on their attack on Iran? That is how pathetic we have become, Ronnie. You were talking about us being weak.
I'm negotiating.
We're trying to bribe them.
I'm
not to say they're not getting the weapons anyway, but
Ariel, I'm sponsoring you. Wait, my parents did not function with me that way. Or the four of us. Because there's five of us. The other four kids. Oh, no. My mother said, I believe in democracy. It's wonderful. And my father just sat there like he did when my mother was when she was the mouthpiece for the bad news. She said, I believe in democracy, your father, and I really do. We fight for it every day. She said, but if you think your 5 votes will outweigh our 2 votes while we're supporting you, while we're your go-to, when you can't pay your bills, you need us to call. You call us because you need us to cut a check. She said, if you think that your 5 votes have as much weight as our 2, I want to relieve you. I want to disabuse you of that notion. It doesn't work that way. I guess they were the Electoral College. I mean, Ariel, this is absolutely. You know what? I'm glad this is happening because this is the quiet part is being stated out loud. The insanity that we've been whispering about for years, it's here. Now the question is, what are we going to do about it? Because we got to help Kamala help us. That's where I am. I don't want. I'm not even thinking about Jill, because Jill's trying to do whatever she wants to do, and I support that, and everybody else. Now, Kamala, I need you to move over here because I need you to get these people back. You need them. I need you to get them back. I need you to get these progressive Jewish kids back because many of them are gone. Ariel, like Obama lost a lot of the progressives in his first term. They were gone and they didn't come back. And and they haven't come back to the party either. Yep. They have gone down the street. I promise you, I don't want to be crying some awful tears November 5th or 6th. But and acting as if these polls, they don't matter. And because it was on MSNBC. Some of the hosts were misrepresenting the Zogby poll. I'm like, if you're gonna read the poll, read it right, read it correctly. Mm-hmm. These are some. There are no pollsters who are more credible in America today. You don't need to tease out the Zogby polls. They're the best. They're the best in the business. It's just, Dr. Latrice, what are you hearing in the streets? Not in the streets, just because you're not in the streets, but in the community. What are you hearing?
I think people are losing hope. They almost feel like they're not being heard. The government has become callous to these main issues that human lives don't matter anymore. It also appears that the very things that we're discussing right now they should have been thought about when everything went forward with the campaign. And I'm thinking about a lot of the conversations that we've been having about leaving certain groups of people out of the entire process. What if that was all thought about from the beginning? And that way, when we
Are you there, Dr. Latrice? Dr. Latrice?
can you hear me?
Okay, now I can. Yes.
Oh, sorry, it must have been some internet stuff.
No, it's okay.
But I was saying that, when you think about how close we were when everything manifested that things were going to change, and the VP was now going to be the candidate, you would have thought, because those issues were so present, that they would have been inclusive to the entire process. But now people feel like we're so close to the election, things are not being addressed, and other situations are now manifesting, like the hurricanes and things like that. And we already had issues with what was happening in certain states, but now it's like compiling on top of one another. So what happened in the beginning that people didn't think that was okay to include those people who were felons? As we talked about before, we talked about the people out there who don't even know that they can still vote for whatever reason. It's not being talked about. Why isn't that being pushed right now? Even as people are falling by the wayside, who don't feel like they can have enough confidence in the VP to be the president. Why isn't that group of people that is propelling her, why aren't they pushing this thing a little bit harder? It just seems like it's an uphill battle that nobody's thought out.
Well, see, that's why I was asking you, because, you know, when no one's talking to folks who are talking to folks, Rania, and Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds. I mean, and I feel like the corporate media, the legacy media, they're not being honest, which does not help. See, you can win the race, you can win the race and lose the presidency at the same time. That's what happened with Biden.
Yep.
Because he misread, he didn't read the room. Like, it wasn't, yeah, we voted for you because you were not Trump. Okay, you got that. But we got some real problems out here that have not been addressed. He did not address them. We need police reform. They have
Yep.
killed more people since George Floyd was killed in the black and brown communities than ever before. Police have been on a killing spree. I need you to look at that. My voting rights. I mean, they purged 1 million plus voters in Texas alone. Wait. Hold on. You're not talking to me. And I'm tired of the Democrats jumping on me like I'm the enemy. I'm like, no, I'm not your problem, but I'm going to be your problem if you keep messing with me.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly
No.
it. That's exactly it. And it's crazy because the expectation is that we all fall in line. It's on us. It's on us to fall in line, not it's on you to earn my support. And then you're going to come back and blame me when you did nothing to earn our support? No.
And people are feeling that, Ron. I mean, folks, people feel like they're being talked down to. And and let me tell you, black folks feel some kind of way about that. I'm just keeping it 100% with everybody here, because we're so disrespected all the time, Ariel. So respect means a whole lot over here. So when people come to you and if you don't vote for me, you're not black. What? Huh? No. That doesn't work.
Right.
You can't.
Unbelievable.
You no. It's totally believable. You can't do that. You can't. And you keep on going down this road, and you keep telling me, wink, nod, let's make some history. But when I get over here, I promise you, don't promise me anything. I need you to make it right now and let me know. And because you need to let these funders who are pressuring that we're not playing either. That I'm not going to underwrite a genocide. No, I'm not going to underwrite you not taking care of these people when I can't find 1,000. Well, I can find hands and feet sticking out of mud. That they're about to go into the freezing season within a couple of weeks. You will have snow in the mountains of North Carolina and Appalachia. That's what you're going to have. So the bodies that are buried there, those homes that are flooded out, they're going to turn to ice. I know silence is not what you want on the radio. I'm just keeping it. I'm just letting you know.
I think it's past time for people of goodwill, people with a moral conscience to be able to be the conscious of the nation and to be able to speak truth to power, to be encourage people to be on the right side of history, because I do believe that history will look back and not judge those who are complicit in this atrocity, in this humanitarian crisis. I don't. I believe this is going to be a stain on the Biden administration. He did a lot of great things, and I don't want
Yeah.
to overlook that. But this certainly, I mean, this is human life. And Santita, my heart goes out just like yours when you think about those body parts. That is just disgusting. That any person with any heart or any kind of soul should be compelled to just imagine if it was one of your family members. You know, have some compassion, and just like people seem more compassionate about the Israeli lives that were lost, the Jewish lives that were lost. They should have the same compassion for the Palestinians. And I don't see that that's a form of hatred and discrimination when you view one race, ethnicity over another one. There's no difference between, valuing a white life versus a black life. And that's why we say in the black culture, Black Lives Matter, because yes, we're not saying white lives don't, but we're saying we want our lives to matter too. And I think that's the same compassion. And that's why you found so many African Americans that have been sympathetic to the plight of the Palestinians, because we understand what it's like to be hated and discriminated and targeted. And so that's why I think you see so much solidarity, and why you've seen so many people in the African American community demanding a ceasefire and joining in with our Muslim brothers to demand it. I'm a Christian. I feel compelled to join my Muslim brothers saying, yes, there should be a ceasefire. And I'm going to continue to do that, even though some have told me, elected officials, that you're going to be targeted by APAC. And I said, hey, bring it. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be a coward and scared to speak because I'm afraid of, a very powerful organization. Nonetheless, I'm not downplaying them, but I'm not afraid. But I wish we had more people that were, principled and willing to, stand up to the bullies, the Benjamin Netanyahu's and those in APAC that are propelling this war and this atrocity, this
You, oh, I think we were getting to, but well, I mean, and the thing
very
is, they are coming after you, and I get it, because it's the power game. I get it, Rania. I get it, Ariel. I get it, Dr. Latrice. I get it, because and so I ain't mad at you on your power flex. I get it. I have one too. See, I believe in me too. And what's happening here is unacceptable. What is also unacceptable is, your friend tells you the truth, Ariel, Rania, Dr. Latrice. They tell you, you know what? We got a problem over here, y'all. Vice President Harris, just as I call for these men to stand up for Vice President Harris, and yeah, I need some men to do it. I need some men to stand toe to toe with someone who clearly has an issue with gender. You got to stand toe to toe with him and tell him what he did was not okay and call him out on it. That having been said, I can't let you all be in the Olympics, the genocide Olympics. It's just you. If we don't stop this now, Ariel and Rania and Representative Reynolds and Dr. Latrice, it will never stop. Now is the moment. It's it. This is unacceptable. You can't just kill folks and use my money to do it. You can't. And we have to help her. We have to understand politics because we're all new to this. We have to help her help us. And you have to, I want you to be, everybody, I want you all to be real about the pressure that she's under. She was just asked, why have you changed on every position? Because she's being pressed to everybody. And we're not pressing enough over here to keep her in the spot where we found her. Because she is progressive. But she can't remain progressive if you do not support her. Give you a quick story. You remember when Andrew Young was forced to resign because he met with a representative of the Palestinians offline? My mother challenged him to do it. She had just come back from Lebanon with Yasser Arafat. She flew to New York and she said, Andy, because he was the ambassador to the UN, she said, look, we have this story. This story's all wrong. And we got to do something because what's happening to these Palestinians, it's just, we can't do this. He said, Jackie, this is the third rail of American politics. If I touch this, do you know I will lose my job? She said to him, what would Martin do? I don't want to hear that. Because my mother was suffering from PTSD. She had to stay in Paris for a week. She couldn't come home directly because the things that she was seeing just blew her mind. You know, when your hotel gets blown up, you come home, you come back to your hotel, half of it's gone. The man who dropped you off for the meeting has been blown up in the car that you were riding in. That kind of stuff happened to her for a little bit more than a week. She was with Kwame Ture and Reverend B.W. Smith and all these other people. It was a tremendous experience, but it was very painful. They fired him. My father was the only mainstream Black leader who was calling for him not to be fired. When he went to see President Carter said, Jesse, I did not want to let him go. But he picked up a stack of telegrams, because that's what we did 40 plus years ago, right? He said, if the Black community had given me a fraction of this support, I could have kept him, but I couldn't justify it. Because these people, they told me to get rid of him. I had to, and you were the only one, Jesse. Help Kamala, y'all. Help her to help us, because I think she is a woman of goodwill. And I'm with Ariel. I want to put someone in office I can fight. I'm not trying to disrespect her, but this is the space she's in. And if we don't push, she gets pushed and she gets rolled over. I don't want that to happen to her. That's all I'm saying. That's the emotion you hear this morning. I don't want to, I mean, we're so close. And you have someone who has great instincts. But you got to help her. You can't just let her up there, give a speech and leave her there by herself. She'll never make it. I have a minute literally for everybody, and my phone is blowing up because I got to get down to City Hall because they are wishing my father a happy birthday, giving him a key to the city. I love you, Daddy. Happy birthday. Happy 83rd birthday. Unbelievable. But closing thoughts inside of a minute. Dr. Latrice, what's on your mind today?
I just want to say that I hope that those who are pushing this campaign for Kamala, I hope they're listening to the voices around the country and they're not just focusing on one group of people, because there are definitely conversations like this happening. And I think the more they get in touch with the people, the real people that are on the ground, they will understand that the way for her to win is by actually reaching out and touching the people and touching those issues that touch them.
And she can win. She can win. Ariel Gold. Come on, girl. It's gonna be all right.
I think it's a necessity that we keep hope alive, as you say. And sometimes, Santita, sometimes it's you that reminds me that when I just feel like, oh,
like
what
this morning.
are we doing here? So,
yeah.
I've been thinking all day yesterday of a friend of mine, Jonathan Ziegen, whose mother was killed on October 7th, and he has taken over his work for peace, and he is hopeful. So if he can be hopeful, and if my Palestinian friends can be hopeful amid all of this, then that's my obligation to do so. And so along those lines, I want to echo what you keep saying, Santita. Get out and vote.
Please, please, and help Kamala help you. That's all I'm saying. Let her help you, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds.
I think we should all do our part to reach out to the Harris administration and send, letters and social media messages and with hashtags to have her to understand that there is a large group of people, not just you know, people who are of Muslim faith, but all of us of good conscience of different races coming together to say enough is enough. It is time to reverse course and set a new path with this conflict before it gets worse and worse. And then it's squarely on her watch. I think that is so important. I'm still behind her. I'm still pushing her to be our next president, but I do want to hold her accountable and make her do the things that she should do, that Biden should have done in the first place.
Well, pushing her is the way that I support her. Because I don't just want her to be president. I want her to be a great one. And LBJ was pushed into greatness by Dr. King and James Farmer and Whitney Young and Roy Wilkins. Lincoln had to have Frederick Douglass. I mean, that's just the way it works. Ronnie and Patrice, my sister, you got the final word.
Just very quick thoughts. First, on that note, I can't help but think of James Baldwin when we talk about what it means to love this country. Absolutely. It means I reserve the right to critique her perpetually. And that means the leadership too. The second thing I want to just say real quick, just a reminder to everybody, every Palestinian, every Arab is not Muslim, and every Muslim is not Arab. So as we're talking about this, I feel like it's really, really important to encompass the entirety of the Arab community and our allies. And last but not least, I just want to say this because I hear it from the campaign as an excuse sometimes. There are many, many, many people who are having these conversations, both out front, externally, in public, and internally. Does that mean we stop? Absolutely not. Does that mean we need less of it? Of course not. We need all of it we can get. But I do just need to say these conversations have been happening with the administration when President Biden was still the nominee and since the vice president has taken over as the nominee. These conversations are happening. Of course, they need to continue, but she's got to help us help her too. And I say this all the time. I don't know any Donald Trump people. I have nobody to push there. So y'all are exactly right. There's some we can absolutely push her. We have those contacts. We have those relationships. That doesn't exist within a Trump orbit for me anyway. I don't know any Trump people, but
I do.
I
do. And he's transactional. And I can deal with that, but I'd much rather deal with her.
Yeah. I think that's right. And and it's not too late. So this is my final thought is it's not too late. She can absolutely center the humanity of all people, whoever they are. And it's not too late for her to do either.
That's right. And you know what? You love when you love people, you push them to be better. My mother and father have been married. They've been together 63 years. They've been married 62. My father says, first, your mother is my best friend, and she is my chiefest critic. He said, I would not be married to anyone else in this life. Yeah. He said, if I've done something that is just the slightest bit off, I can count on your mother to tell me. I can count on my wife to tell me you're out. He said, and if I stray from what she's told me, I pay the price. Mm-hmm. Because I know that ultimately she is on my side. He said, if I know nothing about anyone else in this world, I know that Jacqueline Lavinia Brown Jackson, she's on my side. And I know she's on my side because she does not let me get away with anything. She doesn't control him. She's not his warden, and he's not hers. But he depends upon her to be. My father said, wait a minute, y'all came out right because I chose correctly. I knew what I was looking for in a wife and a life partner, and therefore I got same kids. for the most part.
Please hug your sweet dad. Tell the Reverend happy birthday from me. Your family's just the best.
I will, and they are blowing up my phone now. But everybody, happy birthday, Daddy. This is Reverend Jesse Jackson's daughter signing off. I'll be that today. I love him so much. Happy 83rd birthday. Thank God for length of years and strength of mind, even as his body struggles. You know, I've not seen his commitment waver, not one bit. And he stands taller in that wheelchair than he ever did on his own 2 feet. And I thank God for him every day. I thank God for him. And I thank God for all of you, my family, Rania, Ron, Rania and Ron. Love her. Cha-cha, Ariel, and LaShawn. Love you, everybody. And my morning stars. I love you all. Tracy, hey, hey, hey. Sending y'all so much love. Have a great one today. God bless.